A video on something that I just want to have a faff around with, hopefully quickly, but I'll probably waffle, so it probably won't be that quick. So I made a sticky toffee pudding. Sticky toffee pudding normally made with dates. I decided that I was going to use sultanas instead. Heat up the sultanas in the liquid and then puree it down, add it into the sticky toffee butter. Sticky toffee butter? No, sticky toffee pudding mix, bake it in the oven. It worked. It was very nice. Lost a little bit of the fudginess of the dates because we were using sultanas, but it worked and it was nice. So you kind of go, well, that's interesting. It kind of cuts down on the cost. You don't have to faff around chopping up the dates or anything like that. Kind of quite interesting from that point of view. That leads us on to, well, if we can use sultanas, we can certainly use currants, we can certainly use dates, we could probably use prunes, we could probably use figs, as long as we cut the stalk. Sometimes figs come with a stalk, but we could use any kind of dried fruit like that and as a substitute for the dates. You kind of go, well, that's kind of quite interesting, is that? Opens up a whole multitude or multiverse of different kind of sticky toffee puddings. But then I was kind of thinking, well, I looked at the liquid that are made from the heating of the sultanas and pureeing it down with the liquid, and you kind of go, oh, well, that's kind of like a certain consistency. I was thinking, well, could we use different things instead of dried fruit? So I kind of thought to myself, well, we could use other fruits, like fresh fruits. That'd be a little bit difficult because a lot of fruits have a high water content, so they're really kind of quite soft. And I was kind of racking my brains, and I was kind of thinking, well, we could buy some strawberries, we could cook them down. I thought, well, that's a bit of a faff. And then I was like, stupid. Why don't you just buy some cheap peaches, drain the juice off them, and then puree down the actual peaches and see what consistency they are like. So, cheap peaches, and that's what I've done. So I've drained off the juice and then heated it up slightly because you make a sticky toffee pudding in a way that's kind of slightly quite warm. So that is the right amount of liquid to go into the sticky toffee pudding. So it's a funny recipe. I'll stick it in the description, but it works. So you kind of look at it, and it's not like a 222, no, a 4442 kind of cake recipe. It's 7.5 ounces of this and 9.5 ounces of that. But it does work. So we're going to try it with peach. So I've kept the juice, and we will do something with that juice at some point. I have fermented that juice in the past and turned it into vinegar and alcohol, fizzy pop, and then alcohol and then vinegar. But that's by the by. So we're going to do it with peaches, and then also I was kind of thinking, well, do I really want to buy strawberries and cook them down, faff around with that? And I was like, no, we can just buy some frozen strawberries, and the freezing process kind of removes some of the liquid out of the strawberries. So, as you can see, well, in that bag there is some juice in the bottom, so that will have removed a lot of the juice from those strawberries. So what we can do is we can drain the juice off those strawberries and puree them down in the same way as the peaches, and see if this kind of works for strawberries as well, and kind of take that as the idea for the recipe. And then also when we do the strawberries, I use soft brown sugar in the peach one, and I'm kind of thinking, well, can we cut down the cost even more and just use like a plain caster sugar, so like a baking sugar that you put in cakes, and see if that kind of works. So there's lots of kind of ideas kind of going on there, and we'll kind of see how it works. It might not. So that's the cake batter. It needs in a teaspoon of baking powder, and then we need to be quick because the baking powder is activated by heat. So those peaches are going to be hot going on it, and because I'm all about saving costs and cutting down on the amount of expenses, I'm using an old bit of baking parchment in there as well that I used for something else. So, and I kind of think, so this is kind of like my justification of things. Do you know, it's difficult to earn money, and things are expensive, and if we can use something twice or 3 times, then we really should be doing it. It cuts down transport costs, it saves the environment, and it saves money in your pocket as well. So, batter mix, bicarbonate of soda, not baking powder, bicarbonate of soda, and then warm peach puree on top of that. mix in. As you can see, the baking powder's already starting to work, and I need a spatula to get all that out of there. So I think this will work. I'm not putting any coffee in like you do with a sticky toffee pudding, because I don't think coffee and peach would work, and we don't need to. Well, it might work as a flavour profile wise, but we'll kind of see. So that into there, this into there. So it's 16 portions. Ooh, that one's fall over. Don't want that happening, do we? I just thought about this. I haven't really massively thought it through. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does work, I'm working tomorrow, so I'll take it to the volunteers for their little bit of perk of the job type of thing. And I don't know what type of sauce we could make with it. Well, I suppose we could use the peach juice to make a syrup type of thing, but we'd need more syrup anyway. Hopefully that's not going to explode over the top of that baking parchment. We'll see. Right, so into the oven, 180, probably should have been quicker than that, and we'll see how it turns out. It'll be about half an hour or 40 minutes, something like that. It's had 35 minutes, it smells ready. Let's have a look. That looks alright, doesn't it? That looks alright. That looks like it's worked. So turn the oven off for a minute. That looks like it's worked. I have not had time just to get the other one ready. So I'll puree some strawberries down, and we're back at the mixing in process. Is that going to sink? I don't think so. It feels firm, but we'll see what it's like when it's done. Yes. So we're back when I pureed some strawberries down and made some cake mixture and all that kind of stuff. I should have had it ready, but I've been a bit busy. I've warmed the strawberry juice, pulp, in the microwave for the purpose of the recipe. I had 2 packets of frozen strawberries, and each packet weighed 350 grams. So that is about the right kind of amount of strawberries. Slightly over once they've been defrosted and pureed down, but you want to put the right amount of strawberries in. You'll have more than you actually need, but that's not such a bad thing. You can just put it on a bit of yogurt, the extra puree that you make. And then it was 2 tins worth of peaches, and these peaches are 410 grams, and then drained weight is 240 grams. So it's 2 tins of peaches. So same recipe again, but this time with strawberries. My only thoughts are the strawberries aren't sweet, whereas dates and sultanas are, and the tinned peaches are sweet. So I don't know how this one will turn out, but we're only having a play around. So that mixed into there, that mixed into there, quickly as possible. Ooh, and the oven on, but the oven's already semi-hot, so that won't make too much of a difference. Nice colour. Yeah. Oven on, 180, something like that. I think it'll lose colour when it's cooking, but not to worry. And then that out of the way. That there, it's already starting to bubble up. So, that like that. Try not to get mess everywhere. But I don't think it does any harm. Showing that things aren't just quite as easy as people make out, are they? Much better to show you the problems that you have and awkwardness, and be a lot more truthful. So into the oven for 35-40 minutes. Put the timer on, and we'll see how it turns out, and then we'll compare them both. So the timer's gone off. It smells ready. Let's have a look. There we go. That feels firm enough. Let's just stick something in it just to see. See, it's coloured. It's coloured well, without having the skewer's hot all the way through. So yeah, metal skewers. Stick them in things, and then you want to rest it underneath just a your bottom lip, just at the bottom of your bottom lip. And if things are hot on there, it feels hot, then it's generally cooked all the way through. Bottom lip, kind of like tip. So, it's sinking that already. Maybe it needs a little bit more. Maybe it doesn't. It feels ready. It feels like it's ready. I don't think baking it anymore would make any difference, but we'll see. But it's certainly shrinking. So we'll see how that one turns out when it's cool. But I'm going to go swimming. So it'll be when I come back from swimming. And then we can see that one. That one hasn't shrunk as much. I don't know why. But that one's starting to shrink on the outside, so that means I think that one's going to collapse. But we'll see. We'll see what they're like when they're completely cold. Right. The pool. Let's have a look at them. That has definitely sunk. That's definitely sunk. Probably too much wet in there. Probably too much liquid. So maybe like less strawberries. But I don't think I'm gonna. At some point in the future, I'll probably have another faff around with that. But I don't think. I think it's going to be difficult to kind of get the right amount of strawberry puree into it and make a recipe out of it. It's not going to be like a set thing. Like, how on earth are we going to calculate how much liquid should be in the strawberries? We'd have to take a certain amount of strawberries and then extract a certain amount of liquid out of them to then use a certain weight, and that just sounds a little bit too complicated, does that? But anyway, so we don't. I think I'm going to dry it out. I was thinking while I was swimming, I was thinking that we should turn this into biscotti. And I was thinking about giving it to the volunteers tomorrow at work, but I think we could see if we can dry it out and see what happens. Okay, that's kind of quite interesting. It's got, maybe it's a little bit not as holy at a little bit further in. Let's do it there. That might just because of the edge. So how does that look? Oh, it's a little bit dense at the bottom there. Can you see? It's a little bit dense at the bottom, but let's give it a try and see what we think about it. Very moist. Do you know, if we put coffee in that, it tastes like a bit like a sticky toffee pudding. So, nice as that. That's nice as that. I think that'll be really nice. So we'll dry that out in the oven, 100 degrees, until they're going to go like sponge fingers, like twice baked. Biscotti means twice baked, I'm sure. So it'll kind of be twice baked, but more like a dried out for the second bake, and then we'll make this like sponge finger biscuits type of thing. So we'll do that there, and then we'll do the same with this, whatever. Oh, that's what we call it. That's far too much liquid in that. That's really dense, is that? But it might turn into a really nice biscotti. So, what's it like at the edge? Not too bad at the edge, but it's certainly, there's too much moisture in that. There's too much moisture. But let's give it a taste, because the taste is what's really important with things. You know, things looking pretty is all very kind of quite nice, but it's much more important that something tastes nice more than anything else. You can try it. You can kind of taste the strawberries. I wonder if you could use strawberry jam. You taste the strawberries, almost. You wouldn't know. So, you've done that parlour game where you are blindfolded and then you taste things like mustard, ketchup, apple sauce, vinegar, and you have to guess what they actually are, because a lot of how something tastes is your perception of how it's going to taste. So mustard looks like mustard, therefore it's going to taste like mustard. So I'm saying that, oh yeah, you can taste the strawberries, but if I didn't know there were strawberries in it, would I be able to tell there were strawberries? Probably not. But could we use jam for that element? And cut out the sugar and use jam as sugar. I wonder. Going on that kind of recipe. Jam's sweet enough, isn't it? So I wonder if we could actually use jam. That's something to explore. That's something to explore in the future. But we'll see how it dries out. And I suppose probably a little part of this idea came from watching The Walking Dead, and I remember one of the characters, Carol, they were in some kind of encampment village somewhere, and she was making cookies to bribe a kid, and she used apple compote as part of the cookie mixture, and I suppose that's where part of this idea has kind of come from that. So maybe kind of explore kind of that, but difficult to know the moisture content of the fruit that you're going to be putting in, just because apple purees are going to be different amounts of liquid in them. Strawberry puree is going to have a different amount of liquid in them, even though it might look the right kind of consistency. The right kind of consistency is not a proper kind of recipe that we can kind of stick to, but I think that'll be kind of quite nice dried out, actually. I think it'd be nice and dense. So, and I think that'll be kind of quite nice. But I think, yeah, we'll do that. We'll dry it out and see how they go. I think they might go. Don't think they'll go fudgy, but I think they'll be nice dried out, and then we can use them as sponge fingers or just as little biscuits. But we're back when they're dried out. So these have taken forever to dry out, and the ones that were made with strawberries are still a little bit soft on the inside. So let's give them a try. Interesting to eat. Interesting to eat. I wonder if... No, because the mixture's too soft to kind of form cookies. But it's alright. I'll use them in... It's like a sponge, like sponge finger. They'd be nice instead of amaretti biscuits. They'd be nice, like in a fake tiramisu. Theirs would be kind of quite nice, but it's taken a long time to dry out, and they're still not drying out because of the strawberry pulp that's in there. So, peachy ones. How are these? They're dried out. They're nice. They're nice. So, it would work with normal sticky toffee pudding recipe, I'm sure, but obviously I used peaches, but those are nice. You can't tell there's peaches in there, and that's probably because of the dark, the soft brown sugar that I used. Probably could have got away with putting coffee in it as well. But anyway, so tinned peaches work as a way of making a sticky toffee pudding. So it's not a sticky toffee pudding, but it's, you know, we're using peach puree instead of we'll probably use like mango puree as well. Might be a little bit too wet. Might be a little bit too wet. But I think it's an interesting idea, and there's something potentially could be expanded on in the future. And I think even if something doesn't kind of work out, we learn something from it, and we can change and adapt. And I certainly think I'll be thinking about using strawberry jam as a sweet element in a what we call it, in a sponge or a biscuit or something like that. But I'll use them in something, and so they won't go to waste. I'll just eat them and have them with a coffee. I think they're kind of quite nice, dunked in a coffee or a tea. But anyway, so a success, and really kind of quite delicious, those.